If you're not listening to the Smoke World podcast, you're wasting your time, you mortal.
What's up, folks? Welcome to another episode of Smoke World. I'm your host, Stone. So go grab that stick. Go grab a glass or whatever you drink, and let's sit back and have that conversation. What's up, my people? Everybody all right? Maybe not? You don't know? Okay, no problem. Anyway, it's always a pleasure to get back on this mic. I've been getting emails, phone calls. Stone, what's up with the podcast, man? Where you at? You dropping off. We don't see it. It's not consistent. Well, there's a reason for that, folks. As I've told you in the past, chasing people down in 2023, I'm not doing that. So, and guess what? I've been in search of a guest co-host. That's right. Folks will be joining me. We will be having a conversation. Me and the guest co-host. There may be a guest with the guest co-host, and maybe not. But anyway, that's to come. So this episode, I'm at the lounge. To be more specific, Cigar Sessions. Guess who's there? The brother himself, Willy Herrera. That's right, the man himself. A lot of times we're at these different events and we meet some of these folks who are in the cigar business. And some of them, let's just be real, folks, some of them are assholes. They're not sociable people. Brother Will was cool, and the fam was a cool dude. Shout out to Ray. Ray was with him, another Georgia State's employee. Cool folks. And you can't take that for granted, because a lot of times these folks that's in the business, in the industry, this in society, everybody's not a sociable person. But nonetheless, Brother Will was gracious enough, conversating, down-to-earth brother, cool dude, tall guy too. This guy's like 6'3", 6'4", so you can't miss him with a big beard. You can't miss this guy. Either be playing basketball or playing football. Either way. Cool dude. So had a quick conversation with him, which you're going to hear. How he got started, folks. It's not what you think. At least not what I thought. When you hear about the guys and girls who blend these cigars, you always think about, oh, it's heritage, it's family. Yeah, I grew up in the cigar factory. His story ain't none of that. None of that. So, sit back, relax. Pretty short, less than 10-minute conversation. But he condenses this and puts it all together and gives you his backstory. And that's why I said, folks, a lot of us see the glory, but we don't know the backstory. What do I mean by that? I hope I don't have to explain it, but I will real quick. You see these folks making moves and thinking like, damn, I want to be that guy and girl. But you don't have no idea what they had to do to get to that point. So, enough talking. Drop the mic. All right, my brother, how did this get started?
I threw a coin up in the air and it said, make cigars.
Right.
So I said, I'm going to learn how to make cigars.
Was it heads or tails?
So, yeah, man. So my wife's grandparents and mom started a factory. And I'm going to give you the condensed version.
That's fine.
Little Havana back then wasn't the safest place. By 3 o'clock, people were putting the shutters up and getting out of town. So the grandfather was the only male figure. So he was sick. He got sick. So I took a week off of vacation from work and worked the whole week in the factory. And after that week, I just fell in love with the industry itself. Up to that point, I was just a cigar smoker. I love cigars.
Nothing about rolling.
Nothing.
blending.
Nothing. No, I didn't know the difference between Dominican, Nicaraguan, Honduran, what a wrapper leaf looked like versus a filler leaf. I had no idea. But in that week, I started seeing all these different parts that go into making a cigar. And I just fell in love with it.
Really?
I quit the bank and started working in the factory.
Does it pay the bills?
Yeah, I mean, they paid me. You know, it wasn't what the bank was paying.
Okay.
But, you know, it was so, you know, in life, it's not all about the money.
Right.
You know, you could be making, let's say, 50 grand a year and be miserable, or make 25 and you're happy, and it feels better.
Absolutely.
And that's how I felt at that time. The bank wasn't what it was when I started 7.5 years prior.
Gotcha.
It was fun. It was different. By that point, you know, it was so corporate. It just wasn't fun to work in a bank anymore.
Okay.
So I worked a week in the bank, in the factory, and I'm like, oh man, this is cool. You have great conversation with people. You're smoking cigars all day. It was just a different vibe, and I loved it. And so I'm like, I want to get into this. So going back to your question, how'd I get into making cigars? We made 2 cigars, and we couldn't keep them in stock. We made 2 cigars. They went out the door. But they weren't what I like to smoke. So now I found myself always bringing cigars that I was buying, which is what I did like to smoke, and smoke that all day in the factory.
Now, can I ask, what was that? Do you know what you...
Oh, man, it was all over. A lot of tatuajes. It was more the medium to fuller stuff. You know, a lot of tatuajes, a lot of the Herrera Habano back then. It was just a lot of stuff back then that was just a lot fuller than what we were making in the factory. So that became an issue with the grandfather. Hey, you know, I see you smoking this, and I see you smoking that, but I don't see you smoking ours, right? And so I started off by having the rollers, hey, make me something like this. Make me something like this. Hey, you try with this wrapper. Whatever. Just off of smell, because I didn't know the difference.
Okay.
And that went on for a little bit. But the rollers, and still today, they get paid by how many cigars they roll. So now you got me, hey, make me 10. Hey, make me 10 more. Hey, make me 20. So now they're having to stay later to finish their 100, 125 cigars, or come in early the next day to finish from the day before. So it became a problem. So I said, you know what? I'm going to learn how to make cigars, and I'm going to do this all myself. And still, that's the way I am, you know, whether it's with a house project or trying to fix something. Hey, I need help, and I'll give it 2 or 3 days. I don't hear from who's going to give me the hand. All right, YouTube, boom. And get my hands dirty and do it myself. So I learned how to make cigars.
Pretty much on your own.
On my own. On my own.
So the grandfather was showing you the love, like, I'm going to show you how to make these.
Well, he didn't know. He was a business guy.
Oh, okay.
You know?
He
wasn't a roller. He didn't know about tobacco. You know, he knew
business
what we were, and what we were making.
Gotcha.
But there was nobody say, hey, come here. This is what you do, and then you start. No, it was all looking at the rollers. Okay, and then go to my table and try to do the same thing and fill the bunch and make a cigar.
Man, now you know that's kind of rare, bro.
And that's it, man.
You know, that's a rare scenario.
And it just took off from there. You know, literally, it just took off from there because once I learned how to make a cigar, you can imagine, I was there 8, 10, 12 hours a day. I'm going to town every single day blending stuff.
Now, were you able to sell your own cigar, or you had to kind of still work through the grandfather?
No. So what I would do was, when I would make these cigars, I would age them. I would smoke. Oh, man, I like this. So I put them in a section in the humidor. And because we had so much traffic, because we're in Little Havana,
right,
you had tourists coming in and day out. You had 2 types of customers. Hey, I'm looking for something for my dad, or I'm looking for something for my boss, or whoever.
Okay.
But then you had the customer, hey, I like something. I like Sumatra, or I like Habano. I'm like, that's a smoker. So I would sell him whatever he wanted to buy, and then that guy, I would give him a cigar I had worked on. Here, take this. Let me know what you think.
Okay.
And then that's how I started. Okay, this stuff works. This stuff doesn't work. This tastes good. People like this. And that was it. And it took off like that. Then we started doing private label stuff for other brands, other customers, new customers that wanted to come out with their own cigars. Because during that time, there was that boom of what they call boutique cigars. Everybody wanted something made in Miami.
Gotcha.
The Padilla 8 and 11 had gotten top, 1 in 25. The Tatuajes had gotten top something in the top 25. So everybody wanted something made in Miami, boutique. So they started coming to our factory because all the other guys they couldn't do anymore.
Right.
And so I started doing blends and stuff for all these other people that were coming to our factory that wanted a cigar made. And that's it. And then just
So how'd you link up with Drew Estates? How did that happen?
From him seeing all these cigars that I was making for other people.
So you got put on the map.
I was like in his radar because he's like, man, this guy's cigar is buzzing because it's coming out of Italian, and who's this Willy guy? And this cigar is buzzing because of this Willy guy that made the cigar. And so I kind of got into his radar from all this stuff that I was doing for other people out of the factory.
Interesting.
And then, fast forward 13 years now, and he said, hey, what do you think about doing what you're doing in Miami, but do it at Drew Estate? You'll have your own team. You train them like your people in Miami. You're going to have kind of that boutique type of brand.
Right.
Then you just do your thing. Okay.
I'm down. Say no more.
Yeah, and here we are.
Wow. Okay, so tell folks what you make. What blends are your blends?
Oh, shit. So the easiest way to answer that is anything that has come out after Underground Shade, I blended for Drew Estate.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's a lot of stuff. So you could Google Underground Shade, when did it come out? And then you look at anything else that came out after that, there's stuff that I've blended for Drew Estate.
Okay, so
it's a long list.
Now, could you torch yourself? Now, this is my opinion only, that most cigar smokers would like to try to roll a cigar.
Yeah.
Just to try, like I said,
Right.
you were a smoker, but it's like, yeah, I want to try this out. So, do you give any classes? Do you think you're going to pass your knowledge on to anybody else?
No.
As master blenders, guys, stories, so.
No.
No? You going to keep to yourself?
Yeah, man. I mean,
Come on, man, stop
it's I had to learn it to survive. I had to learn it to eat.
Pass that knowledge on?
No. They can learn. There's a lot of YouTube videos. I didn't have YouTube videos.
So you're not going to have an apprentice?
No.
Nah.
No.
You got a real serious face about that, too. Like,
Yeah.
I'm riding this till wheels fall off.
Yeah, man. Everybody has their own niche. You got to figure out what that niche is.
Okay. All right.
Now,
that's what I'm saying. Now, you living on the road. Where you in Nicaragua? Where's the factory at?
Factory's in Nicaragua. I live in Miami.
Okay, how often you got to be down there?
Once a month I go down there for a week.
For a week.
Yeah.
So it ain't too bad.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I wish I could live down there, but, family is in Miami, so it is what it is. Once a week is good.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
That's all you need. But I'm a little upset that you're not going to train nobody. Well, look, bro, appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
There you have it, folks. The man said he's not training nobody on shizit. He keeping it for himself. Thanks to my brother, Willy Herrera. Shout out to him. And brother Ray from Drew Estates. But yeah, folks, that is not how I thought the story was going to go. Huh? You did? Well, that's you. Congratulations. But you never know, folks. Well, anyway, I'm not going to hold you. Stay tuned. Stay with me. I appreciate you. I do not take talking on this mic for granted. To have the opportunity to bring you Smoke World. Look, folks, you can follow me on Instagram, Smoke World Podcast. Email stone@smokeworldpodcast.com. Website, smokeworldpodcast.com. I appreciate you supporting me. I truly do. Again, I don't take anything for granted. But we're still here. We're still here. So look, tell a friend, cousin, uncle, you know how I tell you what to do. Not really. I still love y'all. I'm going to check y'all out on the other side, all right? Peace.